welcome to Entertain This, a podcast about movies, TV shows, and video games. My name is Hayden. With me, I have Mitch,
Hello.
Tom,
Hi, Tom.
and Mr. Francois Chau. He's been in shows like The Expanse, Lost, and movies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, plenty of them. Your IMDb is quite impressive, sir. Thanks so much for being a part of
Thank
this.
you. Hi, guys. Hi. Thanks for having me. Nice to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So just what we usually do when we talk to actors is we kind of get their story about how they broke into the industry. You have a
hmm
very interesting background coming from Cambodia. Would you mind talking a little bit about that and how you got into the industry?
Sure, sure. I was born in Cambodia. I am half Cambodian, half Vietnamese.
Hmm.
And I left Cambodia when I was very young. I think I was about maybe 5 or 6,
Uh huh.
and moved to Saigon. And
Wow.
I lived there for a couple of years before leaving Saigon
Wow.
because of the war. And leaving Saigon, I lived in France for, I would say, probably about a year and a half, maybe two,
Hmm.
before coming to the U.S.
Okay.
So I came to the U.S., kind of settled in different areas in the East Coast, um, and in like around Washington D.C. area,
Hmm.
and pretty much I got interested in acting in high school.
Hmm.
I was doing some like school plays and stuff, and I thought, wow, this is pretty fun. I think I found something I like to do, and I went to school, got a degree in theater and
Uh-huh.
acting,
Wow.
and then I decided I really wanted to do film and TV.
Okay.
So I moved to Los Angeles uh, to try to get my foot in that way,
Uh-huh.
and I've been lucky enough to have been getting pretty steady work since moving out here almost, geez, I was almost 40 years ago.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah,
Going through your filmography, it's like you have been very busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
English obviously is not your first language, but did you were you bilingual basically when you came to America with English, or did maybe acting help
No,
you?
no. I spoke when I was living in Cambodia. I spoke French
Hmm.
and Vietnamese. Those were my two, I guess, native language.
Okay.
And I left when I lived in France for a while. All I spoke was French,
Hmm.
and I lost all my Vietnamese.
Hmm.
Um, and then when I came to the States, all I spoke was French.
Hmm.
So I had to go to like a bilingual school for like a year or so to just learn English. When you're young, I guess you can pick up languages pretty fast. And
Yeah.
I have to say, I think I really believe that watching a lot of TV has
Uh-huh.
really helped me help me
Hey, I
to get
mean,
the English pretty fast.
it's a
Yeah,
testament to your capabilities for not only English being your first language, but the culture of America and very industrialized culture, especially in the entertainment
yeah,
business, and you became
yeah.
very successful in it. So that's very impressive. You must be an absolute workhorse. So
Well, thank you. I always say that hard work and talent and it only goes so far. Luck
mhm.
has a big role to do with it.
So what would you consider to be your first breakthrough role where you kind of felt like, okay, I can make a career out of this?
Wow, career. I don't. I never kind of think my first like professional gig here in LA was doing GI Joe, the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
I
lucky enough that I was cast as this
uh,
character, Quick Kick,
yeah.
and I did like about 15 episodes of that.
I watched it when I was a
Uh,
kid. I heard your
yeah,
voice.
yeah, that's where I got my SAG card. It was a
Hmm.
big deal. And then from there, it was the first few years. I got work. I got some commercials.
Hmm.
I got a couple of TV stuff, little one-liners here and there, and then it sort of got pretty steady enough so that I am one of the very lucky ones who really never had a day job.
Right.
I
Yeah.
I have been, blessed to do this pretty much since I started.
Well, I'm sure that you've earned every role that you've gotten, and there's no dispute about that. So you went from voice acting with GI Joe. Did you think that you're going to be a voice actor, or when you landed roles like Shredder in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, did you find similar fervor?
Yeah. People always ask me, "Oh, are you a voice actor or an actor?" Or
Hmm.
I mean, I think we're all. I mean, it's just actors, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
we do voiceover stuff. A lot of times we do in front of the camera or on stage. It's all pretty much the same. So
Okay.
I don't. I'm not. When I was doing GI Joe, it was really
Mhm.
kind of being thrown into the deep end of the pool because I'd never done anything like that.
Right.
And I walk in and there are all these sort of like iconic, legendary voice actors
Right.
who basically do everything.
Hmm.
And I was like, holy cow, what the heck am I doing here? Kind of kind of thing.
I
I
bet.
just, I sat there and I watched and I tried to learn and, you know, just go along as best I could. But I mean, if you want to say voice actors, I would say those guys
Uh,
are and women, of course,
yeah.
um, are what you would say are real voice actors.
Do you think that coming from I guess, an initial voice actor background, your school of acting would be something more literal to the script as opposed to some of the other acting techniques where people try to embellish and kind of find personal connection and to their personal lives when it comes to stories?
Yeah, I used to think, uh, when you watch the animated stuff and the cartoons
Hmm.
on TV, and some of these guys can make any kind of voice you can think of,
Right. Yeah.
and it's a skill. But for me, I can't do any of those voices. I can't sound like Donald Duck anytime I want to. Uh, but for me, it's just another acting job
Uh-huh.
that happens to be, just my voice. So I approach it, uh, right or wrong. I approach it as trying to make it as truthful as possible,
Hmm.
depending on the project. If it's a comedy or if it's like something that the tone of the thing is a little more, way out there
Hmm.
than the usual, then I'll adjust. But most of the time, it's just trying to make it as truthful as possible.
Yeah, and your probably decision on how you practice those chops. Like
Hmm.
Shredder is obviously a very different person than like the analytical Jules Peter Mao. I mean, granted, they're decades
Yeah,
apart, but
sure.
you've been able to kind of coin and not be typecasted. I would say as a specific
Right, right.
kind of person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's like I say, it depends on the tone of the project, um, especially uh, Ninja Turtles 2. I had watched the first one, and I
hmm
thought, wow, they did a great job here.
hmm
It was, a little darker, very, a lot of action, which I love.
mm,
The second movie, I think they toned it down, and it became sort of I don't know, it was more of like a Disney or Nickelodeon, you
really.
know, type thing where
Yeah, they tried to make it a
more
little more
geared
kid
towards.
friendly.
Yeah, yeah. So the tone was a little lighter, a little more, I would say, cartoony.
mm.
So you kind of have to, you can't really, uh, you got to be, you can't be in a different movie.
Yeah, I understand
So
that.
yeah,
Mitch
so
here is our big. He's the biggest turtles nerd that I know, and
aha,
he's probably got a million questions for you. But I'm gonna limit him to two or three. So
that's okay.
okay.
I've met a few. I would say
Turtle connoisseurs.
fans.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet. I'm sure there's some great stories in there. I'd love to hear too. But go ahead, Mitch.
Well, I was going to ask you, like, normally when you're acting with other people and stuff. What is it like to try
Right.
and act against, like, or act with the animatronics and stuff that they had going on with, like, the Toka, Razor, and the turtles?
Oh yeah.
Mhm. Well, it's like I guess these days it would be the same as maybe acting, it's the opposite of a tennis ball in front of a green screen,
No CG and
and you
stuff.
see it afterwards, and it's like, oh, I'm
Hmm.
talking to whatever.
Yeah.
But for it was like I say, the tone of the film was such that it wasn't like the 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 connection with the other actors in the turtle suit and the actors in the Tokai and Razar suits. It's not. I wouldn't say not as important, but it was different than if I was doing a scene with another live actor
Mhm.
trying to connect with them. This was just it was like a little broader, bigger cartoon kind of thing where obviously you got to
Yeah.
on top the guy in the Tokar suit and the puppeteers are moving the eyeballs and the mouth and the lips
Right.
talking back to me. So
In between takes, they're just kind of lifeless corpses waiting to be
Waiting
animated
for
again.
yeah,
for life to happen
yeah,
to it.
So,
And then
yeah,
I was
exactly.
I was also going to ask you. I know the Super Shredder was played by Kevin Nash, like at the very end of the
Hmm.
movie. Did they ever have
Right.
any ideas of like possibly having you be the Super Shredder in like another form, like doing that way you could do some martial arts?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of. And I mean, I would be like, I would have to stand on stilts or something.
oh
But
yeah.
Well, I wasn't sure if maybe they had like
yeah,
another idea for the type of Super Shredder you'd have
yeah.
been. So,
Not that I know of.
okay.
I was a little. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed that I didn't get to do more, physical stuff in the
Hmm.
second movie because they toned down the fighting. Basically, Shredder just kind of stood around and
Yeah,
ordered
yeah.
people around,
Yeah.
kind
He's
of
the big
thing. So,
boss. He's the big boss.
yeah, yeah,
More of a management position at this point.
right, exactly. Like
Mo-
my henchman.
for sure. Moving on to Beverly Hills Ninja and
Ah,
Lethal Weapon 4. At this point, you're
wow,
working. Yeah.
you guys are digging deep here.
Well, we really appreciate the work, and these are definitely
Yeah,
movies of our childhood that we want to tap on. So
yeah.
you were working with some prolific actors in these movies. Was there ever a
Mhm.
time you were like, "Wow, I've made it," or were you starstruck, or was there ever anything like that? You know?
There's a very few actors I would say that I would get starstruck. I
Mm,
mean, all due respect to the actors in these movies,
mhm,
I did have a lot of fun, hanging out in this rowboat all day long with
mhm.
Chris Farley.
I bet. I bet Chris Farley was making everybody laugh.
Yeah, uh, but no, it was just maybe I'm just it's just me, but
It's a business.
it's a job, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
you go, you do the work, and hopefully it turns out okay. But
Yeah.
you can you have a sense of you can't really go crazy with oh my God, it's Mel Gibson. I gotta run over there and
That'd be me. I'd be like,
hey,
holy
get his
crap.
autograph or something.
You
Yeah,
know, I have some experience in the industry as a producer, and
hmm,
actors like you are by far the best to work with. The ones that come on set just because I took this role because Mel Gibson's in it or something like that. It's
right,
just going to
right,
be a
right, right.
nightmare the whole time. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can definitely appreciate
yeah.
that. Uh, you started to do some more kind of fighting scenes and action scenes during these movies. Was that kind of a learning experience for you? Did you have a prolific martial arts background or anything like that?
Uh, I've been training in martial arts kind of on and off since
Hmm.
I was 12.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
12 or 13, I think. So I started with Taekwondo,
Okay.
was in that for a long time. I actually ended up teaching that for a while.
Wow.
This was years ago. And I think now thinking back, it's got to be at least 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And these days, I'm a little, my body's a little creaky and
Well, I can
I
understand.
can't, yeah, can't get my knees are shot. I can't get the kicks as high as they used to be. In my head, I can, but
Mm,
when I do it, it's like, oh, wait a minute,
Your body
what
goes,
happened?
no.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You
So
think?
now I switched to it's like a I would say a traditional Okinawan karate style that I've been doing for 10 years now, and I teach a class down in Little Tokyo here every couple nights a week if I'm
Oh,
in town,
wow.
kind of thing. So just to
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
stay in shape and you know.
Yeah, that's probably.
Otherwise, I'd be sitting in front of the TV,
Yeah,
because there's so much stuff to watch now.
it's exhausting.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah, but it is great, and it's. I tell you what, we've
Yeah,
got plenty of content for a podcast. But
Have you ever had like a weird moment where you're just watching TV and like just flicking through a channel and you see something you're in and you're like, holy crap, that's me?
I turn the channel quickly when I do that.
Really?
Turn to the other channel.
You don't like to see
Nah,
yourself?
no, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, I don't mind. I doesn't. I'm not like, oh, I'm not like, oh, I can never watch myself, or
Mhm.
oh, I've got to see everything. If it's there, you know, I'll watch it and probably just think like, oh,
Yeah.
break it down and go like, oh man, you were terrible at that scene. What are you doing there? No, I mean, you were okay there.
Uh,
That kind of
I'd like to cycle back to the martial arts questions,
sure,
because
sure.
um, okay, I'll just go ahead and ask it. Would you say that
Yeah.
outside of acting, could you see yourself as a choreographer maybe, or somebody who teaches martial arts for camera or something like that?
No, that's a very specialized skill, and
Hmm.
I have a lot of friends who are coordinators and stuntmen, and they
Hmm.
know the camera angles, they know what works, what doesn't work. I don't have that knowledge. My martial arts training is basically um, I don't know how you. I mean, I don't like uh, tournaments, for example.
Hmm.
Martial arts has become um,
A sport.
a section of martial arts has become like a sport,
Hmm.
which is great, which is fine
Hmm.
if that's what you're into. But for me, it's more of just
Self defense.
kind of self defense, basic realistic stuff.
Okay.
Uh, I don't look um, you know great doing it, but
If it works.
It's not
yeah,
flashy,
but
but
it
it's
works. So that's
effective.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can
Yeah.
appreciate you, people in general, just having a passion that they can kind of keep separate from their business,
Yeah.
their
Oh,
professional
yeah.
lives. So that's
I
good to
know,
hear.
but I and a lot of times, uh, if I have to do anything on screen, they'll get a stunt person because
Really,
they don't let you do too much stuff because
no want you hurt.
you might get hurt or
Yeah.
this and that.
Well, don't take any
So
movies with Tom Cruise.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. Uh, okay. So I love your filmography. There's so many movies I want to talk about, but we got to talk about some TV shows.
Sure.
I love the first 4 seasons of Lost. Or how many seasons were there in
Hmm.
Lost?
I don't know.
Right.
That ending that everybody blew up about. But basically, when your
Yeah.
character
Yeah. Yeah.
was in, it was the prime of the show. You know,
Uh,
that was
Thanks.
such a phenomenal show, and it just kind of
It,
crashed and burned there at the end.
Yeah.
You know.
a lot of shows um, like that. Uh, my understanding that the producers wanted to end it, I think, after season 4,
Oh
right?
yeah,
But gosh, it's just making ABC so much money, and Disney so
yeah.
much money that
Gotta
they
milk
said,
it.
no
Yeah.
way, you gotta do something. So I think they tried to, like a bunch of other shows I've seen that sort of started out great, and then you can tell when it starts to go, oh, we're just keeping it going because
Hmm.
you know it's making money.
Yeah. You
Uh,
gotta ride
yeah,
that gravy
so I
train.
don't know. It depends on the fans you talk to. Some fans love the show from the beginning, every season, from the beginning,
Hmm.
and they love the ending. Other fans, the ending was not was
Yeah.
not exactly their favorite. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they could have done anything to
Uh,
please everybody.
yeah. I
So,
mean, it's a writer question, and they kind of
yeah,
wrote
there's
themselves into a
no
corner. And there's probably no way to make
yeah,
a happy ending out of a crazy,
right,
fever
yeah,
dream of that show, anyways. But
yeah. I
uh,
mean, the writing was I confess I didn't start watching it until I think maybe season
yeah,
three maybe,
yeah.
and because the only reason I started was because fans would ask me stuff, and I would be like,
I
geez,
have no idea.
I
I
don't
don't know,
know.
You know
I don't
why?
know what you're talking about, but
Yeah. You know why those
so
fans were asking questions? Because they had no idea.
yeah, exactly. So I started watching it, and then I said, oh wow, I see
Yeah.
why it's such a big hit. The writing was great, the characters and all this stuff. Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah,
Great job.
it was a wonderful show when it was out. It was a busy show. Were you
Hmm.
constantly on set, or were you kind of brought in and flown in and out over and over again?
Yeah, the I got the gig, and I knew they were shooting in Hawaii, so I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, all right, baby, here I come. So
Sweet. Boy.
yeah, they you know they called and said, hey, your call time is blah blah blah. You're going to
Mhm.
Warner Brothers in Burbank. I was like, what? Wait a minute, I thought this was in Hawaii.
Well,
He
yeah,
said,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah,
so
but
too.
this your stuff is just right now. It's just we're going to shoot it in
Sound
the
stages.
studio over there. I
Oh.
was like, oh man. So the first two things I did was here, and then after that, I got to go to Hawaii, and it was what like
Yeah.
4 or 5 times a season. That was sweet. That was sweet.
I bet. I would love it.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't a good show, I would still do it.
It's
Just
like,
to go to
hey,
Hawaii.
it's
Well,
Hawaii.
So,
yeah, but the first few seasons though was still. I flew over there.
mhm.
Like example, I flew over on a Monday.
Mhm.
Got to my little side Monday night, and then Tuesday I go to the studio, shoot my stuff by myself. No, there's nobody else around.
Mhm.
Finish, and then Wednesday I fly home, and that was it. That was it for a while.
Wow.
So it's funny. A lot of fans will ask me, so how was it working with Evangeline, with Jorge, with all these other guys? And I was like, well, I don't know. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Are they on the show too?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't until that I think it was season 5 where they went like really really sci-fi and we had the time travel and
Yes, the
they
flash
went back.
forwards and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
they went back to the 70s where
Mhm.
I got to like interact with real people.
That's that's wild. I'd love to ask you a million questions about that, but I have to go on to The Expanse, which is probably
Yeah,
my favorite TV show of this decade.
it
So
is. It really is a great show. I mean, I'm a big sci-fi geek, and
good,
for
good.
me, one of the Expanse is really it's the because first of all, I think the diversity in the casting was amazing.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, this is great.
for sure, and it
And then
makes sense for the future and
yeah,
everything. So,
exactly,
mhm.
exactly. And then as we shot it, it was, they call it sci-fi, but it's what is it supposed to be like a couple hundred years in the future.
Yeah, it's
And they
not too
really
unbelievable.
went, yeah, they really went to great lengths to make sure everything that we did
Hmm.
was truly possible,
Yeah.
that
Did,
based in stuff that we have now.
have you read the books?
No, no, I didn't. I got the show and I started doing it, and then
Hmm.
I didn't know a bunch of books, so I started reading the books. But then the show sort of, you know,
Took off.
caught up and went past the books, and I
Yeah.
thought, oh, I guess
The
I
book.
can't read it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
now that the show's done, I can't recommend it enough. Those books are awesome.
yeah.
I just I ate them
Okay,
like candy. They were really
all
good.
right.
And I would love to talk to the showrunners, Ty Finnick and what's the other guy's name? Mark something. I wonder if you ever got to meet them and kind of pick their brain for a little bit. They were the showrunners and
I
the
met
authors.
the two writers
Hmm.
who wrote the books, also wrote the TV show, and the showrunner is Naren Shankar.
Okay.
And I mean, I was pretty. I mean, the character was uh, pretty important in the first, I think, maybe 2 or 3 seasons. But
Yes. The man
there's so
behind the
many other
shadows.
characters. Yeah, so many other characters there
Mhm.
that a lot of other actors that you don't get a chance to hang out
The
with the producers and stuff so
Really?
much.
Oh, well, that's
Well,
unfortunate.
you can, but everybody's so busy. You
I'm
kind of
sure.
go, yeah,
I'm sure. And what a character to play. And I just gotta brag. Just gotta dote on you for a minute because you nailed that character. When I
uh,
read the book, that is this like
right.
your face is the guy I pictured for that character. It was just so perfect.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah, it was, uh, one of my, for some reason, I get most of my stuff is like the bad guy,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, it seems
Uh,
that way. But you
yeah,
do a really good job. You're
yeah.
such a nice guy.
I guess so. There must be something. I
That's what I
don't
was
know
gonna
what it
say. You
is, but
you, you play a lot of villains.
yes, I do. I do. And JP Mao in the Expanse is a pretty. But it all comes down to the writing. I
Hmm.
mean, all that stuff is there. So you just go along with it.
Yeah. And that character being like a corpo espionage kind of shadow government kind of
Mhm.
the person who really runs all the conflicts that's going on in this
Right, right.
futuristic world where there's space warfare and advanced like
Mhm.
space slash naval combat because
Mhm.
it's basically
Yeah,
the same terminology in space and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
yeah.
for you to be that character, did you have to learn a lot about science fiction in general, specifically to what they're talking about, or did you just go off the script and you were able to just be fine with the terminology they gave you in reading?
Uh, you know, I think back, my character, some of the, like the proto molecule and what it does
Hmm.
and all this other stuff. That was probably the most, I guess, what the technical
Yeah,
that I got. I was, thank God, I was not like a scientist. I had to just
yeah, it's some
go
Star
through
Trek
all
guy.
this, yeah. Uh, but like, for me, mostly, there really isn't, people always say, oh, what kind of research did you do to, you know, I mean, it's fiction, so
Yeah.
there's really not much research. For
Hmm.
me, thank God, I said it's in the script. The writers were great, so it was all there. It was it was pretty clear what we had to do,
Good.
what they meant. So I didn't have, go to NASA and
Learn how the
projects
spaceships
and
work and
stuff
stuff
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah, it would have been fun, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the thing.
Coming from traditional movie sets in like the early '90s and whatnot to a
Mhm.
show like The Expanse, where it's probably predominantly on a green screen. Was that a bit of a change for you, or were you pretty used to it at that point?
We did a little bit of green screen on Lost,
Hmm.
so it wasn't, but it wasn't. I'm trying to think. The extent, the extent of the green screen that I did was uh, not that much. Some of
Okay.
the background stuff, but most of it was like real set. Like
Hmm.
my mansion or whatever. There's a big mansion in Toronto that you see a lot in different shows.
Right.
Uh, that was all real, and the sets on the stages were all practical stuff. So
Wow.
uh,
Some
yeah,
elaborate sets.
yeah, it wasn't. The only special effects and grease and stuff was a lot of the space, the space
Hmm.
battles and spaceships and stuff, which I really wasn't involved in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, another highlight that we got to talk about with you because you're the first person in the industry that's got some video game experience, and that's an aspect of
Yeah.
our of our podcast that we haven't
Mhm.
had anybody to talk to yet because
Ah.
they're hard to find, and you're one of them. So we have a couple of questions we want to ask you about that. You started in Wing Commander in '94.
Right.
That was
Right.
purely probably just strictly voice acting, correct?
No, you know what? Right before Wing Commander, I did something else where it was. I mean, it was really basic. You know, stand here and say your lines, and then move to your left and say your lines, and
Uh-huh.
then they'll do something basic like that.
Okay.
Wing Commander, the first Wing Commander 3 was the first one we did. Uh, it was a little bit more elaborate because they got all these actors
Mm.
in there, and there's a lot more green screen stuff, but it was still a little bit more, um, interaction between the characters and stuff.
Okay.
We filmed these scenes in between the game where you would fly the missions and do the dogfights in space and stuff like that.
Right, and then
Uh,
your cutscenes
and
would come in.
you would say, you would film a scene, I guess, and then uh, you would sort of film it two ways, where either the player wants to go in this direction, they
Mhm.
would choose what the actor said in that scene, and the game would take you
Mm.
to that direction, or if they choose the other way, you would go the other way.
Okay. Wow. So you had to
And then
film.
we did Wing Commander 4 right after that. This was,
Hmm.
I think, 94, 95.
Hmm.
And that was, for a video game, that was just crazy because we had real sets, we had everything. It was like shooting a feature.
Wow.
Um,
Were you? Were
and
you?
then, and
I'm sorry. Were you hesitant about doing video game work at first, or were you just like,
Oh, no, no, not at all. I mean, like I say, that I guess not all video games were Wing Commanders.
right?
Before, you come on sets, and of course you had Hamill and Tom Wilson and all these other actors from
Mm.
all these other shows, and I'm going on set, and I'm like, and I'm going, Malcolm McDowell, what are you doing?
Wow. Yeah, I
What
forgot
are
he
you
was in
doing
that
here?
actually.
Right?
Wow, I did forget about that.
All really great, great character actors all over the place that were doing this game. So it
Mm.
was, it was wild. Yeah.
Well, the traditional video game work is just basically kind of like a small soundstage film set from what you're describing to more modern
Right.
stuff. And Tom's got a question for you.
I mean, it must be very
Sure.
weird to go from like Wing Commander 4 or Star Lancer, and then they're doing your motion capture for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. But I mean, it's come so far that it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The technology, everything is. I started doing Ghost of Tsushima, and I was pretty jazzed about it. I thought, oh, this is totally different from something I've done before. I'm
Mm.
kind of looking forward to the mocap stuff. I didn't realize that these games take, I don't know, an average of like 3 to 4 years
Yeah.
to complete.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I started it. They said, oh, we'll do some stuff in November. We'll make sure, check your schedule, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And I did some stuff. I did some scanning, and then I didn't hear from them until next year.
Wow.
I thought, well, what's happening? So I started going in to do the voiceovers
Mm.
for this game. And I realized, oh, I didn't get to do any of the mocap stuff because I was on another project and it must have conflicted with the scheduling. So I was like, oh, dang. But, the voiceover stuff is still, you wear this big uh, helmet with a camera attached to it and they film your as you speak and your expression and everything. And it's amazing what they can do with CGI stuff and the computer stuff now.
For sure. So you said you didn't get to do
Yeah.
motion capture?
Not for that game.
Okay.
I did another game recently where I did the whole full, put on the scuba suits and
Really?
everything.
Can
Yeah, and that
can
was a lot of fun too.
Can you tell us what game?
yeah.
I maybe coming out soon.
Okay. If you can't tell us, it's fine.
If it's Modern Warfare 2,
Well, I'm
just nod
trying
up
to,
and down.
is it every time everything you do now, it's like here's the NDA you gotta sign.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I
you
don't.
never know
I don't
what
want to get you in
what
trouble.
you can say.
Totally
I
understand.
think it's coming out soon. I think
Okay.
it's coming out soon.
So
Well,
we're just
I
saying that
kind
you
of
have another thing coming from video games.
that's exciting to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah.
But back to the video game, especially for Ghost of is it Tsushima? How do you say it?
Tsushima. Yeah.
Gotcha. Is it like a traditional script that they give you, or is it just kind of like you show up and they're like, "Here's what you're going to do today," kind of thing, or what preparation
Well,
do you have?
it's it's not like in the sense of a traditional script where like they give you the scenes that you're going to do that your
Hmm.
character does,
Right.
and those scenes are pretty much kind of traditional, characters interacting with each other,
Hmm.
the plot line moving along, all that stuff. It's basically just like shooting a movie,
Okay.
right? But you don't get the whole, the script. The whole script is, I don't know how many pages it would be. It was like
Hmm.
a phone book.
Okay.
Um, so you get the scenes that you're doing, and then
Did they
pretty
explain?
much,
Did,
yeah, they kind of explain what's happening, going on. Like all
fascinating.
the other games, it's a big, a kind of open world where you can choose to go
Right.
anywhere
Right.
you want, and there's all sorts of side quests that you can,
It is a
you can do
beautiful
at any time.
game. I watched a little bit of
Uh,
it. I don't have a
uh,
PlayStation,
yeah,
but I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, I kind of want a PlayStation
I know they've talked about making this
amazing,
into a
man.
show. Have they approached you about
Right.
doing that as for a TV show or for a film?
No, I've not been approached, but there's rumors that they are developing
Mm,
feature, a
that
feature out of it.
that sounds exciting.
So
Would you be like,
yeah,
"Can I be me?"
yeah.
Yeah. One more question about the video game production experience, because, like I said, you're the first guy that's kind of our inside scoop on it all.
Oh yeah.
Is the set experience like? Do the set roles correlate to film, or do they just have like I don't know, techno nerd computer guy three over there in the corner, and he's what would be the grip or something like that, or do the set roles are they pretty linear to film?
The set rules for well, when you do the mocap,
Hmm.
uh, the project I did that I don't know if I can talk about
Okay.
recently is it's funny they have a stage it's like a sound stage kind of thing where uh, it's basically uh, you know where they film you
Hmm.
whereas you're wearing
Your scuba
your
suit.
suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forget what they call it, but it's the space is specifically for that.
Uh huh.
And in the space, they have certain pieces of uh, like a platform or something, or a piece of furniture that's real.
Uh
But
huh.
everything else is pretty much, you know, if you have a sword or something, they'll give you something that resembles. Well, they'll give you like a stick or something, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's captured. And then when they film it, uh, it's captured and it's converted into what you see through the computer, what you'll see the character doing, and it's pretty amazing.
So you get instant feedback after you shoot a
But
scene.
yeah, a lot of it was because the one I did, you could see they have big, you know, monitors on the side, so
Uh
you
huh.
could see basically if you're moving around on the set,
Uh huh.
your character, you can see it's somewhat a little bit more, a little bit not as crude as stick figures, but you can
Hmm.
see, a rendition of what you're doing
Right.
uh,
You're
right there on screen.
where you're
Uh,
facing and eye line and stuff like that.
right,
Yeah.
and if you're jumping around or you're doing some, physical
Wow.
stuff, it's all right there.
That would be
Uh,
wild to see.
and yeah, it's pretty it's pretty crazy.
Oh, wow.
I'd
Well,
probably be looking at like the camera the whole time, like,
Yeah,
am I here? Am I doing this right?
yeah,
we good?
Well, we have a litany of questions. I've already asked way too many, and I know you have to go pretty soon. But
that's
before,
okay. Keep going. I mean, where are we? 4:35. I mean, I can go as far as like say 5. Yeah, stuff, but that's fine. But
okay, well, I'm just going to
go ahead.
open the floor to
Yeah,
mention Tom if they have any questions for you. If not, I got a couple extras. So
sure.
Well, we had talked a little bit earlier that you've played a lot of villain roles. So I was wondering, like, is that
Hmm.
like your preference, or do you like to play more kind of comedic, or what kind of things would you like to act in if you had the choice?
Uh, Uh, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm usually the bad guy, and
hmm.
but I have to say, when I was shooting The Expanse,
Hmm.
um, I was also shooting at the same time the show on Amazon called The Tick.
Uh huh.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, the two characters, I have to tell you, the character Walter on The Tick
Uh,
is by far in my whatever almost 40 years of acting
really?
the favorite thing I've ever done. It really, it really is, because he was just this sort of, you know, nerdy, kind
Yeah.
of boring guy, just
That's
but
not
very, very,
dry.
no guile to him at all. He's just,
Yeah.
oh hey, oh my God, the Tick, it's like hey. So it was fun going, jumping from. I'm in Toronto shooting The Expanse, and I'm like, hey, Jules Guillemot,
Uh-huh.
I'm experimenting on kids.
Uh-huh.
I go back to New York to shoot The Tick, and I'm like, hey, this is good cheese.
Yeah. Was it hard to
It was
transition
great.
between those two roles?
No, I really love doing The Tick, and these days, if I would say I would love to do like I don't know, a rom com
Mm.
would be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's a lot of
but who knows?
there's a lot
Yeah,
of fascinating movies, especially
yeah,
for Asian American actors. Everything
yeah,
Everywhere All at Once was by far one of
yes,
the best
yes,
movies I've seen in a long time.
yeah.
You know,
Uh,
so
I
uh,
these days I'm playing. I'm usually somebody's dad, so I'm
yeah.
playing everybody's dad these days.
Hey, if it's work, it's still working. So
Yeah, no, it's great. It's
yeah,
great. It's
I
great.
hear you. I hear you. Tom, you got any questions?
Well, looking through your filmography, you acted in one of my favorite shows, like of all time. You were on an episode of Hill Street Blues.
Really?
Me and my
That
dad
was
watched that show.
after GI Joe.
Mhm.
That was my first. I think that was my first kind of professional on camera
Live action.
gig.
Mm,
When I got here to LA,
mm,
it was great. That was that was my first of many times as a gang guy.
mm,
My career started when I was younger. I was a gang guy
mhm.
in the the leather jackets, and then as I went along, I guess I got promoted to
The boss.
the, the boss, and then
Yeah.
even more to the big boss, the guy in the Armani suit. Kind of
It's
thing.
so hard
Now
to
the
see you.
guy that guy answers to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
hard to see
that's
you
right. That's right.
as this sinister guy. You're such a nice dude. Well, we'll let you go here in a minute, but is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything you got coming out that you want to plug for listeners?
Uh, like I say,
You're just not sure what you can and
I have
can't.
been, I have been, yeah, I've been doing a bunch of things uh, so far this year. But like I say, I did a Netflix, I think it's Netflix series
Hmm.
called Wedding Season.
Wedding season.
Uh, I play, I play again somebody's father.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm not sure when that is, when they're gonna drop that.
Okay.
I'm doing. They're doing a series based on American Gigolo. Remember the movie from the '90s with
Yeah.
Richard Gere,
Yeah.
right? So they're doing a series with it's what's his name? John Bernthal is the lead.
Really?
So, but yeah, so but now it's a sort of a murder mystery
Hmm.
kind of thing.
I'm sure you're
And
a good, upstanding person in that movie too.
I'm I'm like the head of detectives. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well,
Oh, nice.
there you go. I'd actually be really interested
I
in seeing that. So,
my I work mostly with my underling Rosie O'Donnell, who's the
really,
detective on the case.
wow.
Yeah, it's great.
You got
It's
to work
fun.
with Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
is she as nice as some people say she is?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Yes, she
That's
is.
good to hear.
Yes, she is.
Wow.
And then there's a couple other things which I think I'm NDA'd out of.
Yeah,
So
I
I
totally
can't say.
understand.
The NDA blanket of I am in things. It
Yes.
will be coming out.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been coached to say you're in various stages of projects and various stages of developments. So,
There you go. There
mhm.
you go.
Well, sir, it's
Yeah.
been such a pleasure to talk to you, and I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day. And I got to ask,
Oh,
are you a father?
I am.
Well, happy
I,
Father's Day.
oh, thank you so much. My 17-year-old daughter
Wow.
is playing Ghost of Tsushima, so I have not been able to play it
Okay. Yeah.
at all. So, and I've been trying the last couple of years to get a PS5, and
Yeah.
it's like a lost art, man. It's like
You get to do you at
kind of
least get to watch her play and kind of get into it with her?
yeah, oh, but that's not good because when I watch her play, then I'll just start going, no, don't do that, do this, no.
Go that way.
What are you doing?
Talk to
What
that
are you
guy.
doing? Why are you doing that? Yeah,
You
Talk to
missed
that
that
guy.
item.
That guy's me. Talk to him
right.
again.
Yeah,
See what else I'm gonna say.
there you go.
Well, thanks so much, sir. And I wish the best for you. And I'm excited to see all the stuff that you have coming out. And you're a wonderful actor. And I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
see what happens in the future for you.
Thank you very much, guys. It was
All
a
right.
Yes,
pleasure
thank
doing
you.
it.